Welcome to News9 Mediaverse, and you are watching On Point. And today in this special edition, I am going to talk about the statements of the Indian Army Chief General Manoj Pande during press conference on the issue of Manipur and the related issue, which is not related to the general but festers. The multiple cases of episodes of encounters and the firing that is taking place, and then the possibility, Brijesh, the possibility of the scheduled tribe status of the Kuki community to be re-evaluated. He spoke on multiple security issues, but I would say his one line stood apart. He said that only 30% of the weapons have been recovered in Manipur. The Manipur police has been working hard, but more needs to be done. These comments come in the wake of the sudden spurt of violence in the state. Now, is the violence related to the demand for the review of the ST status of the Kuki community, which has become part of the political narrative, or is it a result of missing arms or foreign militants operating in the state and destabilizing the situation completely? Whatever may the reason, the rise in the frequency of incident is not a healthy sign. Now, let me take you through the chronology of events in the last 15 days, and I'll play those graphics out here. Now, he is working to normalize situation in Manipur. What is he talking about? He's talking about army. He's saying overall violence in Manipur has come down. Violence down with combined effort of state, army and Assam rifles. So he's saying that things have improved in Manipur. Only 30% of the looted arms recovered in Manipur. So this is what he had to say. General. And now this is the chronology. 2 militants killed and 9 injured in Moreh. On December 30th last year, 4 commandos injured in clash with the militants. And then 5 killed and 14 injured in Thubal on January 1st. 5 security personnel injured in an RPG attack in Moreh. Security forces attacked by militants on January 7th. Gun battle near Moreh. On 10th, 4 men go missing in Bishnupur, 3 found dead. Huge cache of arms recovered from Churachandpur and Tegnupal. Now the big question is, should the scheduled tribe status of Kuki community in Manipur be re-evaluated? Now, is it important? Why should it be done? If it is done, then what will it affect and what will be the consequences of it? On this debate, I will be joined by Professor Bhagat, concurrent faculty, Special Center for Study of Northeast India from JNU, Dr. Tangul Al-Haukip, Assistant Professor, Center for Study of Law and Governance, JNU, and Lieutenant General Rameshwar Yadav, Defense and Strategic Expert. But before that, let me play out the bite of General Pande.
I would say, if you look at our employment in Manipur, it is in aid or to help the civil administration. And I would say the Indian Army units, the Assam Rifles, I think all our units have given a very good account of themselves to be operating under those circumstances. I would say they have displayed a lot of restraint, sometimes against provocation, in those situations wherein it is very easy to get provoked. I think the fact that there has been no collateral damage, no casualties to, shall we say, the local civilians because of actions on our part, I think it just bears this out what I just mentioned. Of course, the challenge of the weapons which are still missing, which are still at large, only close to 30% of the weapons have so far been recovered. So the attempt to recover the balanced weapons in concert with other Central Armed Police Forces is currently ongoing. So our deployment, our operations in Manipur are happening, are again are synergized, are done in coordination with the state administration, the security mechanism that exists, which was created post the situation. So, in terms of attrition or losses purely, if that is your suggestion, the figures don't indicate that at all. Right? You also must, what I wish to highlight, that we have in the army soldiers from both communities, you know, who coexist in a. Oh, okay, right. So, so this aspect which at times gets overlooked is that in our army units, in some of our regiments, you have soldiers from both communities who sleep, eat, live together, and they have, you know, functioned, existed harmoniously without any issues at all.
So let me go across to Professor Bhagat. Professor Bhagat, you know, a couple of important statements made by General Pande. You know, he spoke on the 30% issue. He has spoken on the issue of Myanmar being not stable. You know, many other things. But I would like to know from you, do you think that the decision to consider the ST status of the Kuki community comes at an opportune time? You know, the whole parlay which is happening may be considered?
I think we are these days mixing up too many issues. I do not personally see very good reason to bring in the issue of ST at all. I mean, that can wait. What is more important is to bring peace and order. More than the peace, what is important is following the rule of law, which is not happening either in the hills nor in the valley. So that is more worrisome. In fact, the ST status demand and all this crisis could be taken up a bit later. I mean, too many issues creates further provocation, further confusion, and further mistrust among communities. That is what I would say briefly.
The another aspect is, if you look at the chronology, you know, the itinerary which I read, you would see that there is a spurt, there is an upward spurt. Why has that happened? You know, you keep on going to Manipur. Why has that spurt happening? And the firing issues at Moreh, I think it's too many times have happened for someone not to notice it, even if someone is sitting in Delhi.
See, the issue of ST was, I would say, quote unquote, triggering point on May 3rd issues, right? But that is a more orchestrated ploy. I do not see why the non-meiteis should be upset about meitei becoming ST or not, or why should meiteis be thinking that becoming ST will solve all the problems of the state. So these two issues are completely unnecessary to create further confusion. Getting ST demand passed, approved, it's a government of India's prerogative, administrative issues. There are panels of experts who will look into whether the meiteis are qualified to be considered as ST or not. So I do not see why other communities should bother about meiteis becoming or not becoming ST. And some of the mighty civil society groups and individuals persuading on the ST status as if it is the only issue to be persuaded is also not a very right move, I believe. So the issue of land, issue of resources, issue of representations, these are things that have to be set down and discuss across the tables among the communities who are warring among themselves. That is what I would like to put.
Okay. Dr. Haukip, your opening comment, one, do you feel that the skirmishes have gone up? in Manipur recently in last 15 days?
I think there are a couple of issues with the current situation in Manipur. One is on Moreh. Why the civil society organizations, the village volunteers are demanding. It's a demand that comes out from what Amit and Biren had decided months back last year that uh, CM Biren would look after the law and order situation in Imphal. On the other hand, the Home Minister will be taking care of the hill areas with his paramilitary forces. So that is the agreed principle that has been going on, and why these escalations happen because in the last few weeks there has been an attempt to put more commando forces in Moreh and patrolling, as well as as the civil society organizations claim, they have been harassing civilians, as we have seen in social media videos and pictures. So they wanted the commandos to be replaced or to be out of the hill areas, so that the paramilitary forces and other defense forces would maintain the hill areas, particularly Moreh. So if you look into the last 9 months, you find that there is a relative peace in Tenopal district, particularly in Moreh, because the police, especially the commandos, were not functional. So considering that, I think the demand of the civil society organizations in the Tenopal district, particularly Moreh, is something to be considered. And coming to recent issues, the issue of firings in Kampobi district, or yesterday's incident in Chirachandpur, all this happens because whether we like it or not, there is an existence of what we call
But
buffer zone now.
But Dr.
So
Haukip, there is
we have to
also one
respect
issue.
this buffer zone.
Dr. Haukip, Manipur
Yes.
in a way is distinct, but there is also one issue which is of competitive or the competition between communities to make them part and parcel of certain schedule lists. In the case, like for example, in Maharashtra, you have the Maratha reservation. They want to be part of a list. But in Manipur, again, you have this competition to be part of a schedule list. Meiteis wanted it. Now there is a, the people are talking well, should this be done or not, because there was a delegation, if I am not wrong, led by Mr. Athavale, which went to the Tribal Affairs Ministry for this. So there are a number of issues involved here.
His name is Mr. Thonauzam from Athavali faction of one political party.
Yes.
So whatever is the case,
Yeah, I
if
correct
the
myself.
Meiteis,
Yes. Yeah, I correct
yes,
myself.
if
Thank
the
you.
Meiteis had demanded or agreed to be a part of the so-called scheduled tribe list way back in 1951, nobody would have opposed that time. At that time, you see, there were three tribes in Manipur: the Kuki, the Any Kuki tribe, the Any Lusai tribe, and the Any Naga tribe. In 1956, this generic terms of Naga, Kuki, and Lusai tribe was broken down due to certain demands into several respective tribe names due to certain pressure as well as demand. However, you can see that there is no new tribe demand, in the sense that those people who are within certain larger tribe, for instance, in Mao, there are other tribes like Mao, within Mao tribe, Pangmai was included. So during the 2000s, a certain MP from Manipur, Mr. Horkobang Haukip, he pushed for that recognition, and certain tribes like any Kuki tribes, any Badamante tribe, as well as the Pangmai tribes were recognized. So these are no new people. These are neither immigrants, or these are neither any refugees. They are original, residents of Manipur. They just want their tribe to be recognized. But
Okay.
As in found other parts of India, there is a tribe, and there is a new group who wanted to be included in the scheduled tribe list.
But
And
Dr.
the
Haukip, this
old
merits a
tribals
question. I'll
oppose
come to
that,
you.
that it is
This
kind of
merits a
moved.
question. who constitutes a tribe, and thank you for correcting me. I'm reading this report. The Manipur government has been asked by the centre to examine a representation seeking deletion of the nomadic Chin kuki from the list of the scheduled tribes in Manipur. The Union Tribal Affairs Ministry said that a representation seeking delisting was made by Maheshwar Thaunjojam, thank you for correcting me, National Secretary of the Republican Party of India, Thavle, who is based in Imphal. It's time for a short break. We'll be back, then I'll go to General Yadav on the issue which has been raised by General Manoj Pande. That only 30% of the arms have come back. It started on 3rd of May. It's not a matter of blame game. But the fact is, where have the guns, AK-47, sniper weapons, bombs disappeared? Short break.
Ram's Ayodhya rebuilt. Ram Lala's Pran Pratishtha. Countdown to January 22nd. Dateline Ayodhya. Catch the mega coverage only on News9 Live.
So today, a number of issues were raised by General Manoj Pande. I'm going to play out those bites. It's going to be a long and winding discussion today. There is going to be a Bharat Jodo Nyaya Yatra on Sunday from Manipur. There will be a special program which both me and Brijesh will be doing. But Brijesh, coming to you, one is an issue of, I would say, foreign experts, which is what constitutes a tribe. Second is the issue which the general raised, that only 30% of the arms have come back. And third is the larger issue that suddenly the lull which was there has been broken. Instead of being sporadic, something needs to be happening too frequently. So my question to you is, do you think that this whole scheduled tribe issue was avoidable, or it is something which you cannot avoid it now, it has to be taken head on?
I completely agree with Professor Bhagat Oinam that this is one issue which could have been completely avoided, because what is the most important issue which is staring at the state of Manipur? It is lack of peace. And the most important work on the part of the government, be it the state or the central, is to make sure that the peace is restored at any cost. The fact that it took a general to speak that 30% of the only 30% of the arms have been recovered so far paints a very a very scary picture. There is something which we have been discussing time and again, that till weapons are recovered and recovered in full, there is no chance that peace can be brought to the state, because the missing weapons are also a very clear indicator of one fact, which is that both communities don't trust the state apparatus, and in case of any eventuality when the situation goes out of control, they want to be armed to teeth. This is the reason why majority of 70% of the arms from 3rd of May till this date, as we are discussing this, has not come back. So it's a very clear signal of the fact that either the communities are not trusting the police, or they are very sure that in case if anything spins out of control, if violence escalates, they need to be armed to the teeth to take on.
Brijesh, what happened? What happened to the talks which were taking place with the Sioux and the sort of initiative which the Home Ministry had taken? Why did peter out? Is it well thought of, something that some long rope needs to be given to the state government? What has happened? What's your assessment?
Honestly speaking, one thing which is very puzzling is, and which many of guests who have appeared on our program have also agreed, there is no clarity on how exactly the centre or the state is going ahead to tackle this particular situation. Because when you talk to the Meitei community or you talk to the Kuki community, both communities have expressed their displeasure quite openly about the way the state and the centre has approached this particular problem. And lack of openness or opaqueness is also causing a great degree of discomfort, because you talk about Sioux, there is a complete counter narrative which is there in the state, which contradicts centre like anything. So it's very puzzling.
General Yadav, what's your assessment? What's your broad assessment of the situation today? We will have Lok Sabha elections. Elections are going to take place in Manipur also. What's your broad assessment?
Okay, I'll try and give a little bigger picture to this entire game plan, what is going on. It is not for the first time that violence has taken place. It is one of the part of the cycle. Now this problem is primarily because of Moreh. Moreh is the center of gravity of Manipur. Because of its economic potential, because of it is a major trade route with the complete Far East that we have. And this problem is not now, it has been since ages. Now, the three communities, Nagas, Kukis, and Meiteis, all three want to control Moreh. Nagas, if you recall, as part of Greater Nagaland, they have included Moreh and areas adjoining to it as part of their territory. Kukis, they are already staying there. The Hebrew people, they are in majority in Moreh area. And as far as Meiteis are concerned, they are trying to have a toehold into Moreh. And as you know, the east-west, that corridor that is coming up. So therefore, the tension amongst all these three communities for the control of Moreh is increasing, and this current speed of this violence is a manifestation of this cycle that we have. There have been clashes between Nagas and Kukis, there have been clashes between Kukis and Meiteis, and it is a cycle that is going on. So unless until we resolve this issue, and that is the only time that we can resolve this. It is a political issue primarily, and it is the political process that will bring all these three communities together. And as you know, that the Kukis, they want a autonomous council of their own. It is this is the demand, very long demand that they have been having. Nagas, they have been exerting the Greater Nagaland, and Meiteis, because of the political power that
General
they
Yadav,
have,
I think someone
and
is
they are
calling
also
you. You need to
trying
just
encroach
you
on
just
this
need to
thing.
switch it off.
So this cycle will
General
carry on.
Yadav,
Problem
there's a
of
General Yadav, there's a
weapons
disturbance.
with
You need to switch off the phone.
almost 70%.
You need to switch off that
that
phone,
they
General
have.
Yadav. There's a
It is
bit of a
very
problem.
dangerous issue,
There's an audio
and
issue. Let me
all
go across to Professor Bhagat. Professor Bhagat, the question which I asked to General Yadav: has Moreh really become the ground zero? Is it correct?
Can you come back again?
Is Moreh the ground zero?
Well, it's very difficult to say. Situations are very, very, volatile at the moment. On contrary to what General Pandey has said, maybe he has to downplay the escalation of violence, continuity of violence as a chief of the army, because army is also involved in controlling this conflict. I'm sure those who are very responsible officers have planned to use a particular kind of language and tone to not to lead to escalation of violence. But as
Professor
you have
Bhagat, today you sound slightly sad and despondent, in the sense that, it's just coming out.
Not the usual self.
Not the usual self. This is not the professor I had interacted, There's a different person sitting there in front of me.
Yes, but see, 8 months has already completed. And the General Sahab has said very candidly, I would not have said that, the trying to control the over Moreh by different communities is a fact. In fact, there was 2 big villages of Tangkhuls before the Naga Kuki clash started. But somehow from Moreh, the Nagas were almost pushed out. And then there was another 4th force which General missed out is the Madrasi, the Tamil populations. They were very strong, but somehow they have also been outnumbered now. So Kukis are larger in terms of population and control of Moreh. But I would like to put it like this, that somewhere down the line you have to bring law and order. And in order to bring law and order, we cannot be choosy about either it is coming from people from the valley or from the hills. We cannot be choosy and said only Assam Rifles should be here or only the Manipur police should be here or Manipur police should not be there or Assam Rifles should not be there. So you have to accept that this is a combined.
I want to. That's fair enough. You can't choose the police. I want to know one thing from you. Why is there a sudden spurt in terms of being part of the ST list? How does one define themselves that you are a scheduled tribe? What will you get if one becomes part of a list, and what one loses if they get delisted, sir?
See, what what the meiteis I have been seeing, those who are planning for this move for a scheduled tribe status is coming from, if I'm not wrong, I believe strongly on this, is a middle class aspiration. So you see that there are other communities with education. They are also having this, tag of ST or SC, and you are getting through the job. Being tagged OBC does not guarantee, because there is a creamy layer. So meiteis who wanted to be OBC at one point and not wanting to be ST realized that there is a creamy layer tag, because of which your whole identity as an OBC has not helped you in getting the required job opportunities. Whereas you see that other communities are getting into that. So that is also one reason that many wants the ST to come. This is one of the reasons. The other reason is, which I do not find a very strong argument on that, but the argument is that if you are ST, then you have a control over the land you are having. For instance, there was a rule, there was a law, it has been scrapped by the Biren government now. The law is that if a scheduled tribe purchases a land in the state of Manipur, particularly from the valley, from a non-scheduled tribe, that land which the ST person has purchased become a ST land. So once it is purchased by an ST person, then it cannot go back to the non-ST. So that is a fear the meiteis are having, that the poor meiteis are selling off their lands to the middle class, growing, economically affluent, the scheduled tribe communities. So they believe that if they also become scheduled tribe, then the land they can even take back, or at least they can have the possession on that.
So ultimately, it boils down to the word which you used long time ago in my show, land. It all boils down to the land. That's what Professor Bhagat spoke about it.
Kartikeya, I wrote long back in 2002 in Economic and Political Weekly. It was a big article, main article, where I said land is not merely extension of your traditional self. We believe that this is a land my community belongs to, but land has also become a capital. The ethnic communities have started realizing that land must be seen as an economic resource.
Correct.
And this is slowly coming into a big game plan and tussle, because it is no more about land of my own extension, my community's extended land, but land is an economic resource, is a capital now.
Absolutely. And if you have a ethnicity, it desires to be a nation. If you're a nation, you need to have a land. If you have land, you need to protect it. And it's time for a short break. We'll come back, and the heart of the debate would be, is it all boiling down to land? Because ultimately the narrative or the argument which is taking place on the social media is, they are not the people of the land. Time for a short break.
Currently, the industry is facing a lot of challenges as far as demand is concerned. Basically, the US markets has slowed down because of high inflation.
So obviously, diamonds being a dream product, something which doesn't have a utility value or is seen as a luxury. So that obviously goes off your shopping list. That's the first item that will go off your shopping list, especially in recessionary trends.
That lab-grown diamonds are not mined, and they do away with the entire mining. So they save up on all the environmental damage that is associated with mining, and of course, the mining cost, which is why they're even more affordable.
People that is impacted by all these recessions are the artisans, are the people who work in this industry, right? But I think lab-grown diamond has allowed them to actually use their skills in the same product.
This and more streaming on world's first news OTT, News9 Plus. Download now.
Ram's Ayodhya rebuilt. Ram Lala's Pran Pratishtha. Countdown to January 22nd. Dateline Ayodhya. Catch the mega coverage only on News9 Live.
This was intended to be a terrorist spectacular without precedent.
The plan was to bomb 2 Air India passenger aircrafts simultaneously.
There was a loud explosion and the whole plane just vanished.
The police dropped the ball, the intelligence officers dropped the ball, and the politicians dropped the ball.
It was a conspiracy that destroyed my life. It destroyed 331 lives.
News is now content. Just stream it. Download the world's first news OTT, News9 Plus, ahead of the curve.
Before I go back to Suhas Chakma and Professor Bhagat, let me go to Dr. Haukip. Dr. Haukip, it's ultimately boiling down to this narrative: who belongs to this place? About the land, the people of the land, the politics of indigenous people, isn't it?
Definitely. 10 years ago, I had written, in one academic journal. Of course, it was also published in Infab Daily. Then I have raised concerns about how the hill people in Manipur are so much concerned about, this demand that if the meiteis, the majority who are affluent economically and educationally, could usurp their land, these are the fears that has been expressed by the civil society organizations in the hills. So I have raised all these concerns. To the tribals, land is not just an economic resource. We have to clearly identify that to the tribals or to the hill people, land is where their identity lies. So in many academic analyses, you would find that the kind of land laws or the customary laws on land of the tribes are concerned, it seems to be like patriarchal, but it's basically to protect the land from not passing into outsiders. So whether it's Nagas or whether it's the Kukis, it's a cultural identity. So this type of customary laws are there to protect their land. So they fear that the affluent, valley dwellers would be usurping their lands in the near future if this is permitted. So, of course, there is, as my colleague Professor Bhagat also pointed out, the valley people are more advanced educationally, and if they become
Dr. Haukip, what will happen if both communities? Okay, what will happen, Dr. Haukip? What will happen if both communities get the ST status? What will happen?
I think the tribals definitely are very much concerned about it, because look into the present job reservations in terms of on this. They already have scheduled caste reservations. They can enjoy OBC reservations. And now EW is for everyone. So they will be enjoying all the 4 indices of this kind of reservations. While on the other hand, the scheduled tribe, who because of their geographical backwardness, many educational institutions cannot function properly.
But Dr. Haukip, meiteis also say that they
are hindering them to enjoy.
I have a limited understanding of social anthropology, but I'll still press whatever I learned in my college days and in my masters, if it is about ancient tradition, meiteis also said that they are intrinsically linked with this land through its ancient history, ancientness, ecologically, what you call like indigenous people, वहाँ के लोग, वहाँ के समुदाय.
Basically, I feel that it's about the stages of development or stages of civilization. The valley people have reached certain stages of development, for the last 50 or 100 years. On the other hand, the hill tribes, education is all about a few decades ago, maybe hardly 40 or 50 years now. And to them, many of them may feel insecure about this. So, of course, there are many generations now, even for certain sections of the hill people also. Those who are educated, centuries back, their grandsons, their sons, they are much advanced in terms of this educational another level. So, we have been discussing in academic institutions
So
about
basically you're saying that the criteria should be development. Basically you're saying that the criteria should be developed in this case. But Professor Bhagat, if this is the case, that the criteria to define who's part of the scheduled tribe list is development, I mean, so then you will have to decide hundreds of tribes will be out of it today and hundreds of new people will be part of it. And then you will also have to acknowledge the principle of social mobility in deciding both tribe and caste.
See, this issue is a larger issue, national issue. That is, there should be creamy layer both in the ST and SC in the entire country. This, otherwise, what has been happening is that there is a certain elite groups both within the SC communities and ST communities who are usurping the entire benefits of, what we think in terms of social justice, distributive justice, where the least privilege should be our target of attention. Then the creamy layer is one way through which the least privileged among the tribals and the Dalits should get it. And those who are already availing in a higher level, certain level of reservation, they should be abstaining from getting it further. But this cannot be confined only to the state of Manipur. It is a national issue and a national policy. But about the state level reservation, we can still think within the ST communities, certain Naga communities, Kuki communities, there are also smaller tribes who are neither Nagas nor Kukis. So we can always divide in terms of percentage, that so many percentage of reservation could be reserved for certain sections of communities and so many percentage for another section of community and so on. So that the fear that if the meiteis become tribals, they will siphon off all the job opportunities for other tribes can be checked. In fact, if you look in the last 10 years or so, those who have got ST reservation are mostly from Kuki communities. They are doing better than the Nagas. This is, you can always check out. There has been study on this. So this, I would believe that creamy layer is something that we must really think, political leaders must have to think in the national level, so that this elite grouping among the SCs and STs is stopped, and the least privilege is given the advantage to climb up to the ladder of development.
Okay, so Suhas Chakma also joins me. Sir, there are two questions for you. First question, sir, why has Moreh become a ground zero? And before you join me, we were having a very riveting and interesting debate on, who gets to decide that who is part of the scheduled tribe? How? Is it development, or is it the ancientness? Is it your connection with the soil and the sun and the trees, or is it the religion? What defines you as the scheduled tribe? Because ultimately the whole debate is upon who is the son of the soil. So two questions for you. One, why has Moreh become ground zero? And second, who gets to decide who is the son of the soil?
I want to answer, I think, the first, the second question. none of the factors which you mentioned or the previous speakers had mentioned are the actually determinant factors to decide who is a scheduled tribe. Scheduled tribe and scheduled caste, please remember, are in one way defined based on your origin and descent. So when you are a scheduled tribe, of course, your own origin and certain characteristics which are defined by the government of India, your shyness, your relationship with the land, the kind of economic development you have or the mode of production, etc. Many of these things have changed. But when you talk about scheduled caste, please, it's by birth, by descent. One is born into the caste. And we know, it doesn't matter how much you economically go up, at the end of the day, you remain into lower caste if you're a lower caste. So these are questions, I think, which India has been debating for a long period of time. I think in the context of Manipur, I would only say one particular thing is that when we talk about reservation for scheduled tribes, please remember the reservation for scheduled tribes in Manipur is only 31%. It doesn't mean that, there is no reservation or whatsoever for the other communities. You have about 10% for about economically weaker section, 2% for the scheduled caste, 17% for the OBCs. Now, just to say that in Manipur, only scheduled tribes get reservation, please remember that out of 100%, the 31% reservation which Manipur scheduled tribes have, it is basically taking away from the general category people. It's just that, 31% seats, they are still be competing. Of course, I think if the STs can defeat or can perform better than the general candidate, that's a different issue. But I think we are talking about very less number of population. So I think reservation, whenever we speak about scheduled castes and scheduled tribes, let us not vilify from the fact that there is no reservation whatsoever for the general community people. So that's, I think, one aspect which we have to remember. The second point, I think the Moreh has become ground zero for only one reason, because once again, I think it is about conflict which has been going on, and irrespective of what General Pande had said, I don't think the situation has been brought under control. Surely there is a fatigue. So wherever there are opportunities, the conflicts will take place. That is why I think Moreh has become the epicenter of the conflict, because Moreh doesn't have only the context between the meiteis and the kukis. Please, Moreh also the land of the Nagas. It's almost the headquarters of the Nagas in Manipur. So who is involved in what things and what are the, permutations and combinations between different factions or different armed groups? It's very difficult to say, but I think it's very discouraging to see that, the conflict is no longer only confined to the Naga, Meitei and the Kuki inhabited areas. It is spread to even the Naga inhabited areas. My fear is if this continues, then it will spread to other communities, and that will be much more difficult to contain than what the army.
Okay, I think that's a strong point you have made. I'll come back to it, because I think what the point you're trying to make is somehow around the bite, the statement given by General Manoj Pande. He also spoke on the issue of the boundary, the border, the immigration, and how it's affecting the northeast. Let me play out that bite for you, and then I'll go back to my subject matter experts.
Of the Myanmar army and the ethnic armed organization and the PDF in the recent past couple of months, which has resulted in some of the Myanmar army personnel walking across, about 416 of them till date. Also, some of the civilians from Bhutan taking shelter both in Mizoram as well as Manipur. But what is of concern is, because of the situation across the Indo-Myanmar border, you also have some of the insurgent groups who are feeling the pressure and who have now attempted to come onto our side of the border in the state of Manipur. So that is something which, and then that combined with the situation in Manipur is something we are keeping a close watch on. So what are we doing? We have strengthened our posture or deployment on the Indo-Myanmar border. We have close to 20 Assam Rifle battalions which are deployed there. There is also a talk or a thought in terms of further strengthening our fence along the IMB. Currently, you are aware, it's only in Manipur. The issue of fence in other states is again something which is under consideration.
Okay. So before this fight, Suhas made a very important point that he thinks that this has the capacity to spread to other communities. Dr. Haukip, do you agree that it has the capacity to spread to other communities?
Right now, I don't know how far the implications would be, but let me first come to what Professor Bhagat and Mr. Chakma has just said about Moreh, that Nagas are a part of this town. Definitely, if you consider Lamkang or, if I'm not mistaken, as a Naga or the new Naga, then definitely they were there in the early 90s. One village was there, but the British ethnographers, they mainly categorize them as an old kuki. Whatever is the case, they were not forced during those times, and because of the dominance of the other kuki tribes, they would have shifted to other part of the same districts. And let me also, for just information, state that in the last 2 decades, there are 2 to 3 new Tangkul villages in Chandel district now. And recently, the Chandel Naga People's Association or organization recently, they took Tangkul tribe as one of the Chandel Naga People's Organization. So new villages are made even in Chandel district in the last 2 decades. So people are mobile. It's not a particular community or tribe that has been mobile in centuries or decades. All inhabitants of a particular place, they also still migrate and do
I'm short of time, Dr. Haukip. That is why I came to you first. Short of time. You have to close the argument, sir. You have to close the argument, sir.
Yes, the Manipur Security Advisor also yesterday, in the press release or in the press briefing, stated that there is no evidence of Myanmar-based insurgent groups' involvement in Moreh problem. So it's clear, and there is so much unhappiness in the valley areas. The Mera Pabis are very much against this statement, and they are urging for the removal of the national security.
Which advisor, sir? You have to name the advisor. Who said this?
Kuldeep.
Who said this?
He has stated very recently that there's no evidence of Kuki militants from Myanmar or any other militant group.
I'm very surprised. This is a surprising part of the news, Brijesh, because rest of the so-called,
because the entire narrative is like
echo chamber.
50% of the narrative is built on this thing only, that that the situation in Myanmar is what is actually fueling. I mean, they're stopping short of saying this, that this is what is actually fueling the conflict which is going on in the state of Manipur. And if Mr. Kuldeep Singh has actually said this, then it punches the entire narrative, because it brought back the focus.
I'll give the benefit of doubt to my speaker, but I haven't come across it. But maybe there's, I would say, lack of clarity on this issue in terms of what sort of impact of the foreign fighters it has on Manipur, because there are two things. Foreign fighters can operate in Manipur, but are they intrinsic to the conflict is a different issue altogether. Suhas, you also, last time when we did a program on Manipur, we spoke on the weapons, and the army chief said very categorically, only 30% of the weapons are back. And you told me last time, Kartikeya, bache wo sab big gaye, they'll not be there. So which means that, it's impossible to get them back.
Well, it's absolutely impossible to get back the arms because of the topography, because of the, community, which is in fear and which believes possibly that they need the arms to defend themselves. So that is why, I always say that, the arms are in an area where you have conflicts are the most valuable things, and people are not going to give up. And you cannot have coordinated such operations in the Northeast. You can look at the pictures which are coming up. Are you going to find out the arms and ammunitions there? It is so difficult even to recover the arms and ammunitions in plain areas, town areas, city areas like Delhi and Haryana. And if you can't find the arms and ammunitions in these plain areas, what makes anybody think that, they are going to find the arms and ammunitions in the rural areas of Manipur, where you can go and hide
Okay.
any place. Nobody is going to give up the arms
Okay.
in any case, because, as I said, it is required for the community's defense. It's required for selling it to the armed groups. And of course, if you are an antisocial element with one arms, if you form a group or couple of you can buy 10 arms, very quickly. You can start the extortion process. I think the extortion process has not started because law and order is still very strict.
Okay.
Once this law and order situation goes away, you will see that the arms and ammunition are speaking themselves.
Okay. And last question to Professor Bhagat, and this is to all my viewers. We'll have a special show on Sunday on the Bharat Jodo Nyaya Yatra. And my question to you, Professor Bhagat, is they have been shifted from Imphal main down to Thubul. Can you just tell us how is that ground is different from Thubul, and why have they been given that place?
Well, that place is in the district of Thoubal, where it is under the control in the sense of political mileage of the former Chief Minister Ibobi Singh, who is a Congress chief as well, a chief in the assembly. So I do not know why the present state government has refused giving the Imphal polo ground. Whatever may be the reason, now it is like
as an outsider, I want to know how much will Rahul Gandhi will need to walk to cross into the adjoining state. कितना चलना पड़ेगा? कितनी बड़ी यात्रा होगी मणिपुर में? Last time फोटो ऑप के लिए सब नेता पहुंच जाते हैं. मणिपुर चुन तो लिया उन्होंने.
Will he be walking throughout? I do not think he will be walking throughout. He will be also, mostly he will be traveling by car, isn't it? He will walk where people will be receiving him for a few kilometers, 1 or 2 or 3. He is fit, he can walk up to 5 to 10 kilometers. But if you remember last time, he walked very fast and one of the political leaders, sitting MLAs, died later on. Following
I know that was a very hard sad thing to have happened.
Yeah.
But the real story is not that. The real story was it was Kamal Nath who was cribbing. कि बताइए अभी क्या करना पड़ा. But that's another story that first he cribbed and then he lost the state for the Congress party. Before I close this program, on Sunday on News9, please come to us. We will have a special broadcast on Bharat Jodo Nyaya Yatra from Manipur, what it gets on the plate, why that place has been taken. We will do the brass tacks from A to Z, recount what happened on 3rd of May till today, take up all the issues. You will have the best of experts on our show. It's going to be a special edition of 2 hours. And now I am leaving you with the bite of General Pande.
The Northeast has witnessed positive developments in the last 1 year because of the proactive policies of the government, the peace talks. You have had 2 major peace accords that have been signed. The violence parameters overall have come down. Of course, the state of Manipur did witness violence starting the month of May last year. But I think because of the combined efforts of the state administration, supported by the Indian Army, the Assam Rifles and other security agencies, we have been able to stabilize the situation to a large extent. And our efforts alongside these agencies continue to make sure that normalcy is established and the security situation remains stable. Another issue I wish to highlight here is one of the focus areas has been to work alongside other government departments, agencies, and those who are involved in national security and national defense. We have been proactively engaging with them, reaching out to them.
Mitchell Starc became the costliest player in the history of the IPL. A defiant performance by Ten Hag's men, keeping Liverpool quiet to earn a goalless draw.
Sri Lanka don't have any chance. There's another way to win here. I think it's too late in the day.
I wonder how that will happen, given he is among the richest sportspersons on this planet at the moment.
How the game is evolving, and I think that's really important.
Go all guns blazing into this journey now. Now standing at 7 feet 4 inches, Satnam Singh is making his way into professional wrestling.
I did my best, but now I have to change my life. I hope so. We are getting more good news for India in 2024.
Nobody would have expected this